LGBTQ+.
Hey guys, so I just thought I would kind of sit down and make a quickie. I am working on episode 4 of Flashback, and actually 3 weeks ago, I took an entire week off of work just to work on the Nintendo 64 launch episode. So lest you think that it's not in progress, I promise you that it is. But at the end of the week, my wife and I went to the coast for a couple days. And anytime I go to Santa Cruz, California, there's a video game store there that I always like to visit. And they did not give me any kind of consideration to make a video talking about the store or anything like that. It's just, I happen to really like the store. And it's called Level Up Games or something like that. It's right in the middle of downtown Santa Cruz. And the reason I wanted to go there this time was they had posted a picture on Instagram of these games that had gotten traded in, like, you know, just to try to maybe get people to come down to the store and buy stuff. And one of the games they had pictured was Michael Jackson's Moonwalker for the Genesis, and that's a game that I've always wanted. There's not, you know, I've said this before, there's not like too terribly many games that I still have on my want list, but that's definitely on there. And I actually tweeted at him and said, hey, I'm coming your way, and, you know, do you still have Moonwalker? And they said yes, and he said something like, we'll try to guard it for you or something like that, which whatever. But so I got down there, and they still had the game. It was in like a glass case, and I had him take it out. I said, oh, is it complete in the box? And he took it out and showed it to me, and he says, well, you know, the only thing wrong with it is like the label has a little tear. And I was already like, I'm kind of picky, especially because now if I buy games now, it's sort of, you know, in my mind that I'm going to use it for the show, and I'm probably going to take a picture of it or whatever. And so condition becomes kind of important. I was always kind of a stickler about condition if it was like a, you know, a collectible type game. But now it's like, there's no point in buying a game if it's not in good condition, because I'm not going to take a picture of it for the show, obviously. So anyway, he took the game out, and the label actually had a pretty big rip in it, and like the manual was kind of crinkled up, and I think the spine on the box was faded, and it was priced at only. That was the thing, is when I got there, I saw the price, and it was $59.99, which for a boxed copy of Moonwalker is a really good price. Although I will say that place, they seem to do a really good job of checking the prices on eBay and making sure that their prices will beat eBay, so that you have incentive to buy from them, which I appreciate, because a lot of places don't seem to get that. They think that for some reason they can charge more than eBay because I guess it's convenient for you to buy. I don't know. So I was already kind of like, well, gee, that seems cheap. What's wrong with it? And so he kind of showed me all this, you know, stuff, and I just said, well, you know, I don't, you know, thank you very much, but, you know, I'm going to pass. But as long as I was there, I did pick up some other stuff, and I don't really ever go shopping for video games anymore. Like, I don't go to like the thrift stores and the flea markets, and I don't even go to video game stores usually. I don't know where the video game stores even are here where I live. I know of one comic book store that sells video games, but he's an example of what I was talking about, where you can just go on eBay and you're better off than buying from him. So it's funny, he has a big glass display case, and it just keeps getting more and more and more full with games, because he takes games in trade, but then he doesn't sell very many of them because they're overpriced. But so I kind of had in my head that I was going to go here, and I figured I was going to have to lay down some coin on Moonwalker, and so then when that didn't happen, I just figured, well, I'm going to just shop around and see what else I can pick up. So I picked up a few things, and I thought I would show you guys. So the title of this video is it's just Spanish for Day of the Controllers, because what I ended up mostly buying was controllers, and which is kind of cool, because controllers are the kind of thing, like, who gets on eBay? Well, someone probably does, but I don't really get on eBay and like look for controllers. But it's the kind of thing I like picking up when I see them, because you can get all kinds of cool things. So anyway, so the first controller I got here, and this was one I think I already talked about on the show, was my whole experience with this. I'll give you the Reader's Digest condensed version, but what I got here is the NES Max controller. I hate this controller with a passion, but I wanted to pick it up just because it's part of my childhood. And you know, especially now that I'm doing these videos on this channel and kind of telling stories about my childhood, it makes me just feel nostalgic. And you know, love it or hate it, I have a very vivid memory of this controller. And just quickly, it was my 12th birthday, and my mom took me to the store and told me I could pick out any game I wanted. But it was like a Bed Bath & Beyond type of store. Like they sold like linens and like home appliances. You know, back then, it seemed like every store back then sold Nintendo games and Nintendo accessories, but stores like this wouldn't get any of the good games. So I was looking at like this case full of Nintendo games, but they were all bad games. Like the only one I remember for sure they had was Deadly Towers. And I'm sure if I could go back now, I bet there was probably like a sleeper hit or two, you know, or a hidden gem or whatever in there. But at the time, I just looked at those and I just didn't want any of them. So I ended up coming home with an NES Max, and I was instantly disappointed with it. So that's why I hate the controller. Like, I just thought like, well, it has turbo buttons, so maybe that'll be better for me, or because I sucked at games when I was a kid, and I just thought maybe it would help me. But like this weird disc control pad thing it's just dumb. I don't know, but it looks cool. You know, the thing is, like, if you saw that, like, it looks like a Batarang or something. You know, it looks like a cool controller. It just isn't, you know. So yeah, anyway, but I think I got it. This was like $5 or something, so I don't mind buying it. But and it was cool to have. This is actually something that I've wanted for almost 20 years. Obviously, I haven't been actively looking for it, but I first saw this controller reviewed in the very first issue of PSM, the independent PlayStation magazine. So I'm sure I talked about it when I did a read-through of that issue. But so what that one is, that's the ASCII grip controller. This is for the PS1, obviously. And the whole idea, I guess, with this controller, at least according to that review, was that it was sort of geared towards playing role-playing games, which at the time kind of resonated with me, because the whole point of me buying that issue was that it had part of a walkthrough for Final Fantasy VII in it. And so when I saw this, they were sort of saying the whole point was that, you know, you hold the controller in one hand and then your other hand is free to like look through a strategy guide or something. I don't know if that's really true or not. I just think it's neat. Like, I can imagine you using this even on like strategy games, you know, like Allied General or something. Like any game where you don't really need to have both hands because you're doing something, you know, more reflex based or whatever. You could use something like this. I don't know if I'll ever even use it. I just remember seeing it back then and thinking that was really cool. But it's not the kind of thing I'm going to hop on eBay and be like, oh, I wonder if I can find an ASCII grip. And so when I saw it in the store, I just thought, oh, I got to get that. So so I grabbed it. I haven't even tried it yet. You can see it's still got the rubber band on it and everything. But because I haven't had any reason to take my PlayStation back out, because I'm playing so much Nintendo 64. But anyway, it was really cool to get that. So I'm pretty happy. And then the last... I don't want to throw that one. The last controller I got, this was something I've been thinking very seriously about buying lately, especially after my buddy Todd over on Todd's Nerd Cave, which is one of my favorite YouTube channels. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to check it out. He did a review of this controller, and it made me really want to get one just for using with emulators and whatnot. And that is the SFC 30 gamepad from, I don't know if it's 8-Bit Do or 8-Bit Do. I don't know how you're supposed to say that, but basically, then they make a few different ones. But basically, this one is a Super Famicom controller, or modeled after a Super Famicom controller, but it's Bluetooth, and I have the controller right here so you can see. But I mean, they got the dimensions and everything like exactly right. Like it looks and feels just like a Super Famicom controller. Really nice quality. The plastic feels like it's the same quality as a real controller, except, you know, it feels brand new. So it's got sort of that brand new controller feel. The buttons seem a little bit snappier, but I don't know if that's just because it's brand new. Like the rubber domes in here are brand new, whereas the ones I'm used to playing with are like 25 years old or whatever. So overall, I'm really happy with it. Now you can actually buy a receiver for this that you can plug into your Super Nintendo or Super Famicom and just use it as a wireless controller. And that was sort of the angle that Todd was taking with it when he did his review. But I wanted this more for playing emulators on my computer. So like I use OpenEMU or whatever on my Macs, and I have been using a USB controller, and I started using this. I don't notice any more input lag with this than with a wired controller. And in fact, I didn't even notice any input lag period when using that until I got this and I tried playing Super Mario World, and I noticed a little bit of input lag, and I thought I blamed this. And then when I got home, I plugged in my wired controller and realized I actually used the 240p test suite ROM, because you can test input lag on that. And I tested this, and I tested a wired controller, and it was the same. So the problem is the emulator. But so this is a Bluetooth controller, so you can use this with your any computer, Windows, Mac, Linux. I guess I don't use Linux. Also is compatible with Android and iOS. I guess if you hack your iPhone or whatever. I don't really know. I just bought it to use my computer, and it works pretty well. So, and the price they were charging for it was, I don't know if you saw the price tag, was $35. Well, whatever. Which is the exact same price it is on Amazon. So that was part of it. It kind of turned it into an impulse buy. Like I would see it on Amazon and think like maybe I should get it. I don't know. But then when you walk into a store and it's right there, and like I said, I thought I was going to be buying a kind of a pricey Genesis game, and it turns out I wasn't. So that kind of made me loosen my wallet a little bit, and so I picked this up. But overall, pretty cool. And then the last thing that I got from that store, not a controller, but just I thought this was pretty cool. I got a Famicom copy of Lode Runner from Hudson, and I mentioned in the TurboGrafx launch episode that this was Hudson's first like hit on the Famicom. I think it was their second release on the Famicom. There was one game that came out before it, but this game was the one that was like a big seller. It was this game and Bomberman. And in a way, you can probably thank those two games for the fact that we even have a PC Engine and a TurboGrafx, because that's kind of, I think, what gave them the capital to do that. And then that's what the cartridge looks like. So it's got pretty cool artwork over here. The cartridge artwork is a little bit more plain. This game came out in '84, so this is before the Nintendo came out. So it's pretty cool, and I forgot what I paid for it, but it wasn't much. But whatever, I just thought it was really cool. It's like a little piece of video game history, so I like it. And then just as sort of a postscript to this, so that night I had a few glasses of wine, and then ended up getting this off of eBay. So, and unlike the one at the game store, this one is in really, really good condition. So I did need it. This is going to be for the next installment, if you want to call it that, of the Genesis series, because I've done the launch, and I've done '89, and then Moonwalker came out in 1990. So I'm hoping to make like one big long video covering all the games that came out for the Genesis in 1990. Obviously, some of them are just going to get really quickly touched upon, so I can spend more time with the good ones. But obviously we have to talk about Moonwalker. So that was my justification in my head for buying it. So anyway, yeah, so that's it. I just thought it'd be fun to kind of show you guys that stuff. And I am working on Flashback episode, what are we up to, 4? And I hope to have that one up soon as well. And then, as I already told you, Nintendo 64 episode hopefully is going to be up sooner than later. I know a lot of you guys are waiting for it, and I am very much looking forward to uploading it, because I kind of want to move on with my life as far as the channel goes. So keep your eye out for those, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.